If somebody is not speaking Hebrew here, because I promise that I will speak English, but if everybody speaking Hebrew, I will speak Hebrew. Is a problem for somebody? No?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I will speak Hebrew, English. Okay. Okay, so my topic is family synagogues and private synagogues in Caucasus area. And I became very familiar, a little bit familiar with the problem, or with the story about it, from two different occasions. First of all, a couple of years ago, I read, it's not an article, it's a diary or it's a protocol that our second president, the second president of Israel, Yitzhak Ben Zvi, include on his book about Jewish communities in the eastern countries. And he put in 4 pages protocol or directory how to go or how to travel in Jewish communities on the Caucasus area. It's very interesting. I think that it's only new for few people, and I read it. And then my first time was here in about a year ago, and I visited few synagogues, either in Georgia, Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, and I saw the families' synagogues. Synagogues, the Jewish Caucasus synagogues in Israel. And if you will visit them, at least 2 of them are among the 10 most beautiful synagogues in Israel. So it became a very interesting question for me, because many of them were families' synagogues. It's one story. A big synagogues with a lot of carpets, pictures, and whatever, it's a total difference from it. How it became the moving from very small and very simple synagogue to a synagogue like a palace. And you will see it on also in the PowerPoint that I prepared. Who is going with the PowerPoint? I don't have the machine. How can I change the pictures? Is there anybody knows how to? Oh, no, to the first one. Oh, okay. So I read a little bit description about the synagogues, but first of all, before this is the synagogue, you can see this is in Daraband. This is a synagogue that still exists today, and you can see it. This picture was given to me by a journalist from Israel Hayom. He was guest in Dagestan, and he took the pictures. And also, I would like to say that I found, Professor Cohen mentioned already but some sources, but one source is also on Ben Zvi book, and he spoke, he telling us, I will try to translate it to English very fast. He is speaking about two of very famous journalists, Russian journalists, Avraham Nemirovich Danchenko. And on the 1880, he traveled in Dagestan, and he is speaking about the Jewish village on a slope of a mountain. And this journalist is speaking that he said that he didn't see either synagogues, he only saw some mosques. And he asked the guide of him, and he asked him, I can't see synagogues, I only can see minarets. And the guide said, this is a Jewish minaret, which means this is a Jewish synagogue. And he said, but it's not look like. And he said, yes, because all the Jewish synagogues in this village, which is called Awil, all the synagogues are very small, only one level, and you can't see it from a bird's eyes, which means if you are taking a look from the top of the mountains down, you can't recognize where is the synagogue, which means all the synagogues in this village were family synagogues. And they were very simple, and he explained to him how was the house of the family. And he said, I found that all the synagogues of the mountains heroes, Jews, were built in the same system, and you can't recognize the synagogues when not recognize the difference between synagogues and the mosque, which means synagogues, at least in on the villages, Jewish villages, were very, very small, and most of them, all of them, were family synagogues. Then we can understand how we can recognize a family synagogues in all this area, and we are talking about many of them. As I mentioned already, when I was in, for example, in Bukhara, I prayed on Shabbat in a family synagogue, which became now the community synagogue. And when we were here, the Rabbi Shneur Segal, he is not here right now, but he took us to his synagogues, the Ashkenazic synagogues, but he shows us few other small synagogues, and he said, please, here you can see that in this yard was a family synagogue, which means you can understand that a big part of the Jewish community used to pray in a family synagogues. So what we can learn? First of all, that synagogues were very familiar to mosque. Second, that a big part of the Jewish community used to pay on the family synagogues. Also, we must know that the Jewish life on this area was very hard, very hard. So the houses, the Jewish houses, were very, very small. So the synagogue was very small. If somebody had a big synagogue, which means he was very wealthy man. So I visited two kinds of synagogues. Small one, which was, on the yard, and sometimes we entered to the synagogues, and it was a little bigger, but very simple synagogue. Very, very simple. Nothing, with no carpets. Later, you will see some pictures. Professor Cohen mentioned already the name of Chorny. Chorny was a very famous traveler, and you mentioned him, no? Yes, he mentioned. The book of, that's Moti Zalkin wrote about him, Professor Zalkin, and he wrote a little more about the Jewish synagogues on this area, and he said that when the family synagogue was a little big, it was a special kind of roof, but usually the salon, the guest room of the house, was used to serve on Shabbat as a synagogue, sometimes daily synagogue, which means it was forbidden for the family members to enter in the morning and afternoon when people came to pray. And he also said that usually the room was long and very narrow, and columns hold the roof, and on the east side where they pray to, it was it's Aron HaKodesh, the Torah Ark, and it was built from woods, but not with a lot of ornaments on it. So it was very simple. And Chaim Chaimov, he also wrote about the family synagogue. He said that because the Jewish family welcome guests every day, every time, anytime, please come. So those who were wealthy family organized synagogues in order that guests will come. And after every shachrit prayer in the morning, they used to make a breakfast, what we are calling, that bagel and something. So they did something to eat. And I would like to show you something. This was called, and now you can see some, you see that the entrance, the entrance is to the yard, and the synagogue is inside the yard, which means that only those, for them, the door was open, can enter to the synagogue. And you knock the door, and you have to say your name. If nobody recognizes your name, the door is closed. This was the system. So the next one, this is another synagogue, also in the Bar-Ilan, where you can see the picture was taken from the National Library of Israel. They have only few pictures of it. This is the description of Chorny. You can go to that is you can see explain the story about the synagogue. They have two synagogues. One belongs to the rabbi, and the other one is the family one. Okay, continue, please. Okay, can continue, because we have no time. Here, another one. Here you see, we know to whom it was belonged. And you can see the family name under the picture. And you see that it was taken from the Center for Jewish Art. The Center for Jewish Art in Jerusalem at the Hebrew University, they have the largest collection of synagogues in the world, from all over. Again, this is you see that you can see the Magen David, close to the Torah Ark. So I must say about it something. I mentioned the Magen David because on the synagogues in the Caucasus, it's very difficult to find Magen David. Magen David arrived to this area only on the 20th century. And yesterday, we visited the Helayeb Center, Culture Center, and we saw something, few Magen David on Muslim carpets and so on and so forth. And a lady came to us and she asked how it's possible. And I said, you must know, the Jewish nation adopted the Magen David very late. It's a story that was written by Professor Gershom Shalom, how the Magen David became a Jewish symbol. And the Jewish symbol, the Magen David, didn't arrive to this area till the 20th century. So nobody knew about the Magen David on this area till the 20th century, which means only 110 years ago. Okay. Here's another synagogue. You see the Magen David. This is in Baku. How it looks. Today, this synagogue is what we are going, those who went today to the Georgian synagogue, Aviad was there today, this is the synagogue. It still exists. You know that here you have two synagogues that are still operating. One is the Georgian and the other one is the Ashkenazic. And if you will have a time, my advice to you, go to visit the synagogues. Okay? Now, you see, this is already from Israel. This is the Torah Ark in Israel. Go ahead, continue. Okay. There is the most famous Judaica collector all over the world. His name is Bill Gross. Bill Gross has head because he sold more than half of it, the largest collection of Judaica in all over. And because we are very close to each other, because we did together 8 books, I wrote and he gave the pictures. So I asked him only, you see, some ornaments materials that used for the Torah in this area. So those I took 2. And here you see, those who are familiar with the synagogue, take a look on this picture. This picture is very, very important. You can see that what we are calling the finger of the Torah, which means that the Torah reader is going, you can see here that he has 2 at the same time. Why it's 2? Because one, the right finger, signed for him the beginning. The left finger signed for him the end. So when he is starting, for example, the 4th Aliyah, he knows exactly where to start and where to finish. Okay? This is the synagogue. Here you see, this is the Bet Knesset, the Jewish synagogues in Jerusalem. Now you can see immediately, next picture. Okay, this is the inside, but another picture. This is from here. Okay, another, the Krasnia. This is the Siddur. This is the Siddur that Professor Cohen showed me, and I told him that the picture is here. One more. This is now, you see what's happened. They lost the Caucasus tradition. Now they are praying, davening every day on Israeli system, which means they are using the Rav Ovadia Siddur. They are not using the typical Siddur from this area. So if you will go to Tirat HaKarmel or to Tel Aviv or some other places, sometimes you can find the original Siddur. But I was in the Red City, which you will visit, those who will visit, you will see, and I checked all the Siddurim inside. All of them came from Israel. None of them was an original Siddur. Okay, this is in Tel Aviv. This is the synagogue in Tel Aviv. You see, it was founded on 1924. And okay, next, this is the synagogue in Sderot Har Zion in Tel Aviv. Wait, okay, this is inside the synagogue. And now, continue. Oh, now you can see. This is the Hadera, a big synagogue, which means you remember, I'm sure that you remember 5 minutes ago, I showed you the original family synagogue. Take a look now how the Caucasus synagogue is. Look, it's totally different. It's opposite of it. And now continue. Okay, this is the most beautiful synagogue. This is the entrance in Tirat HaKarmel, Beit Tanchum. See? This is the inside of the Beit Tanchum. This is the most beautiful Caucasus synagogues all over the world. And if you compare it to the synagogues on this area, no connection. No connection at all. Because on the past, it was most of them went to pray on a family synagogue. This is the only synagogue for the Caucasus Jewish people in Tirat HaKarmel. So you can see another synagogue. You see, take a look how the pictures are, and you will understand. I took the picture when I visited there. One more. Have you seen such a synagogue in Israel? So it's a Bushayov, maybe in Zaitan. Maybe you can see synagogue like that in the Tunisian synagogue in Acre. But those are the synagogues, the Caucasus synagogues in Israel. And Israel is trying to keep the tradition of the Caucasus synagogues, but the synagogues himself is totally different. Something has been changed from the past, from 100 years ago till today. And when the Jews from Caucasus made Aliyah to Israel, they decided we will have a very beautiful, nice synagogues in order to remember our tradition. And this is the tradition in Israel, but not in the Caucasus. Thank you.
Thank you very much.